Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Best commercials ever. I have lots to talk about today, and I'm gonna start this video now. My name is Jeff, by the way. I'm a reseller, and things have gone sideways, let me just say. And there's lots of things to talk about. I'm gonna start with something that happened to me today while it's fresh in my mind. Has to do with the eBay resets, the end and sell similars, more issues with that's going on. So today, I did nearly full resets on my store, both my stores yesterday. Didn't really have any issues that I can remember, but today, here's what happened. So I ended 200, sold similar. I had 3784 in my store. Did the reset, checked my numbers. It went up by one. It went up by one. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Did another reset, ended 200, sold similar, refresh. It went up another one. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I waited about 30 minutes, and I checked the duplicate tool to see if you have any duplicate listings, and there were 2. So I don't know what's going on with the resets and items getting deleted, items getting added, but there's something going on. So I want to know if any of you guys, make sure you check your numbers. It is so important. Is this only happening to me? Because I'm like starting to get paranoid. But now, another story. So on Maria's store, I did a reset, and I had 4118 on there. And I can't remember what happened, but then I did a reset. I did 400 listings, and it came back same numbers. But then later on that day, no, like an hour later, I ran a duplicate on that store, and there was a duplicate that was there. So that means because I didn't have any duplicates before I started, because I just checked them yesterday and I haven't been listing that much. I checked it after I did all my resets, so it was fine yesterday. So I basically lost a listing somewhere. So I lost a listing on my store because one listing duplicated. That means that when I remove that duplicate listing, I'm down one listing. So I'm missing a listing on Maria's store, and it added 2 on my store. How long have we been doing this and then sell similar? Like, I've been doing it since July, but I know other people have been doing it for years. Now suddenly we're having issues. I mean, I'm having issues, and I have heard a few other people on the channel from my last video. What they're saying, they've lost listings, but it's getting to the point now. If I'm doing an inventory on my items, like, I don't even feel comfortable doing resets anymore. And, I was talking with Jack today, and this was like a couple hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours ago. He had no sales. I had 1 sale. There's 12,000 items between us. It's not our items. It's eBay. Our items sell just fine. They sold just fine before April. Like, YouTubers are still talking about other resellers as if it's the items. It's not the items. Everybody's sales didn't just get halved on April 1st last year because everybody suddenly stopped buying, and suddenly everybody's items sucked. And I really thought, oh, you know what? I'm not going to buy into, it's April again. Things can't get any worse. Well, they kind of can now. Like, I'm starting to believe that things are getting worse, less visibility. If we can't do resets, that's the only thing that That's the only tool that we have in our arsenal to get some visibility to our stores. And I don't know if eBay's doing something, making some changes in the back office. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And, I was watching New York Crazy Driver again. He's having more instances with buyers abusing the return system. He still has that negative that he couldn't get removed. It was an unjust. And I was watching it. Now, he's been on eBay for 25 years. And I've only just started watching him a little bit on and off for the last couple months. But he was saying how in this video that he put out today, which is kind of a must watch it when you kind of see the things that are going on. Like, he gives examples, he gives screenshots. I absolutely believe him when he is explaining these examples, and it's actually it's unfathomable the lack of seller support that we have on eBay right now. He made a comment how, he was pretty vocal and critical of eBay in like 2007, 2008, and then things got better. And he said that right now, this is the absolute worst that he has ever seen the platform in 25 years. Now, I have a lot of respect for people who have been around the block for a long time. They've been doing this for a long time. A lot of people, seems like a lot of newer sellers, they kind of poo-poo, what older sellers have to say. They're like, oh, you're a dinosaur. You're not promoting at 15%. What are you doing? But I have a lot of respect for people who have been, walking the walk for a long time. And, when people who have been on the platform for as long as him and Jack, and I've been around since 2011, but I've only been a really serious seller since 2014, but maybe 2013. But when people are saying this is the worst that we've seen eBay, this is the worst. I thought last year was the worst that I've seen it, but I'm actually starting to think that this year might be so far worse than it was last year. Let me know what you guys think about this. And I'm going to read a couple comments. I just need to pull them up. And I want to tie that into something that Joe said in his video today. All right, so LR-OF4ZN says, the reason why eBay is using feedback as a tool to punish sellers is for financial gains and a strategy to increase its revenue. eBay is about making money and nothing personal. When your account is subsequently and continuously dinged, you will lose your top seller status. You will decline in the ranking. Your fees will go up. Like you said, eventually no one will maintain 100%, which I believe in the current state of eBay, I absolutely 100% believe that. Unless you're one of the chosen few by eBay, and you have like your own little account representative, and you can call and you can have anything taken care of. I know that exists. I know for a fact. If you have never been explored with eBay, there is an external consequence outside the platform. A prospective buyer will look at all that negative feedback and will not risk his money and move on. Right now, eBay cares about potential profits. I don't really understand. There's part of this that I don't understand, but I want to read it as it's shown. But something that Joe had said towards the end of the video is a lot of people reached out to him this week in support and to communicate other things with him. And he said that there were a couple people that had proposed this theory as to why eBay is allowing the feedback to run amok, I guess, to not really defend sellers, to choose to take a hands-off approach. And it's easy to be like, oh, well, we're not. Their definition of this does not violate eBay's, terms of service, or this does not violate anything to have feedback removal. It's kind of a blanket statement, it's kind of a blanket way, and there's so many cases out there. Like, eBay is allowing buyers to cancel items, to cancel an order. You cancel it, and then they'll give you a negative feedback, and they won't remove it, which that should never happen. But the approach that they're taking right now is really an all-out act of war against sellers. I don't really know how else to say it, and it's part of me is glad that it's happening, because it's no longer conspiratorial. It's no longer like, it can't go on like this. When I say I'm glad, it's not that I'm happy that it's happening, but I'm saying if this starts to happen to enough people are going to call in, enough people are going to leave, and there are going to be consequences to eBay, real consequences, I believe, because you cannot treat sellers like this. And so Joe made the statement that some people had reached out to him and said this exact same thing, that the reason that eBay is allowing this is they are motivated to not have buyers have 100% feedback. And he went so far as to say is, if you would have suggested this to me 5-10 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy. But now he believes that this is what's happening. And it's the only thing that makes sense. eBay, explain, like, I'm talking to you, eBay, right now. Explain to me why you are taking the stance against sellers when we have screenshots, we have emails, or things like, I'm not speaking for me yet, but I know one's coming. I just had one of my neutrals fall off. It took a whole year. It took forever. Like, it is just, to have negative feedback stay on that long when it's unjust, untrue, an outright lie, an outright manipulation in the system to try to, buyers are saying items aren't as described when clearly that's not the case. So Mario Luigi says, now that you can't revise feedback, people will sue buyers, and rightfully so, and eBay should be sued also. I was given a fraudulent feedback last week. Had the size stated with 12 photos of size tags and measurements, and the buyer said I did not describe the size in my listing or pictures in the negative feedback. Not to mention it was a closed return case. Suffice it to say I couldn't get it removed. So what do? Sue. We lose money when this happens. eBay is dead. I mean, I've never heard about somebody suing a buyer, but I don't know what eBay is thinking. And they are the absolute biggest ghosters of all time. They don't communicate with its sellers in any capacity, on any broad sense of the term. They don't tell us anything. I don't know. So much of what they're doing is anti-business, anti-seller. I'm really at a loss for words when I see what's going on. When I see, yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I'm literally at a loss for words. I'm gonna gather my thoughts and move on to the next segment. All right, I have another email from a longtime viewer, Blurrox, and this is in regards to the end and sell similar. He says, happened to me yesterday too, doing my end and sell similar. I lost about 400. Then I went to the unsolds, went to the column that says when ended, and I noticed it was scrambled dates in no order. I then went to the same column and used it to not end soonest, but the longer away, and then reset it back to ended, current, and it was back in order. Oh, still got one sale. This has been over a week now of 1 sales per day, and I've had 2 and I have 1 day with 2 sales. So to confirm, Blurrox, were you able to get your 400 listings back? John, I believe your name is. Or did you lose them? Because I'm a little confused by the message. And then another viewer responded, and they're kind of thinking out loud, saying that they wonder if established sellers' accounts were or are somehow downranked in the new algorithm. Am I right? Your account is long established. I mean, to even theorize that sounds a bit nutty, right? Like, why would long established accounts with good track records, Why would they be, you would think that you would want to reward that kind of behavior. Any other business out there rewards, length of term, commitment to the platform. And if you have high seller metrics and, put great positive feedback. I mean, going back to what I said earlier, I had one sale. Jack had no sales. 15 hours into the day, 12,000 items. Neither of us had ever had a negative feedback in 25 years of selling. Me, since 2011, never had one that is stuck. You don't see a benefit in rewarding, what it sounds like what this one viewer is suggesting or theorizing is that long-term accounts are downranked. Like that's like tinfoil hat crazy. But that's how eBay makes us think because of the things that they do. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint. And all we have to go on is comparing and contrasting our peers and the community that we have here. And that's why it's so important to hear back from you guys. How are your sales? Are you noticing anything wonky with the eBay resets? I mean, like, I had to block 3 sellers and 3 buyers in one day this week because I have to protect myself. Like one guy, two of them were literally just asking too many questions. Like there was a Mega Man 3. He wanted some pictures. He wanted some additional pictures, which I gladly obliged. And then after that, he had more questions that he wanted to ask about like the decals and the stickers and if there's anything wrong or this. I mean, he was just going on. I'm just like, you know what? In my mind, I'm like, I'm done. I can't block. And then another guy was asking about a Dragon Ball card set. He had like 5 or 6 questions in there. I wish I would have saved them. I did. I wanted to read them. And then there was another guy. He was basically wanting to get a Near Mint Plus comic, which is like it's almost as high, the highest grade that I give something. Near Mint Plus 9.6. The highest grade I'll give is Near Mint Plus 9.6 to 9.8 because everything is subjective when it comes to, if I say it's a 9.8 and somebody finds one little thing, then they'll, try and, get money or do some feedback, extortion or whatever. But I sent him a very fair counter and then he like lowballed me. And I don't see myself ever dealing with him. So why even just block it, move on? And then what I did was I took that book and listed it on Marketplace because I'm like, you know what? I think someone local will actually want to buy this as well because it was the first appearance of Predator in comics, Dark Horse 36. That's always going to be a book that's in demand, no matter what. Alien franchise, such a great franchise, and books like that are just always going to be in demand. So I don't need to sell a Near Mint Plus copy for a VF Plus price, which is what he was wanting to get it for. So I have a question. I want to switch gears and then to Etsy, and then we're going to come back to eBay. I'm trying to watch a little bit of Etsy content, and it seems like a lot of people are not happy with that platform right now as well. And I don't really understand all the different nuanced problems that Etsy is having, but it just makes me feel like are we resellers? Are we just never happy? Like, and I want an honest feedback about this. Like, are the issues that eBay is having, are we blowing them out of proportion, or are they real substantial issues? Like, I mean, I feel like so many of the, inability to have a functioning search website, the SKUs disappearing. Now I can add the eBay reset as the resetting the end and sell similar issues that I'm experiencing. Like I said, I'm starting to feel paranoid. Is this just me? That's just this happening to promoted listings, the throttling of sales, the throttling of, the manipulation of the back office statistics. The feedback, in my opinion, is like the most basic of things, is treating your sellers with respect and having their backs when they're doing everything right. It is just, are all of these things, like, are we just crying, right? Or are these real problems? Like, let me know in the feedback. If nobody says anything, if nobody says these are not real problems, and eBay watches this video and they're going to look at the feedback and they're going to be like, oh, there's no problems. I mean, am I imagining these things? Because sometimes I feel like, what is going on? Like, they're like, sometimes things are just like so common sense. And it's just like, how when a buyer leaves a negative feedback on an order that they canceled, how is that even possible? Like, why is that even allowed, right? If eBay is so concerned about, saving man hours and cutting workforces and having, people not being able to call in very easily, have a system where that doesn't happen. If that doesn't happen, if a buyer asks to cancel an order, it should be a hard block when they go to leave negative feedback. It shouldn't be allowed. And then if it's not allowed, we're not going to call in and have that taken care of. So anyhow, going back to Etsy, I guess that was the whole train of thought, is like, they're not happy over there. A lot of people are not happy over here, although some people are very happy with eBay, and apparently their sales are going great. But one quick question about Etsy: can you comp? Like, can you look at closed sales on Etsy? Because I don't really think that you can. Yeah, so let me know about that. Now, I wanted to read just a quick snippet of a conversation that I was having with somebody on Messenger, and we were kind of discussing some of the things that are going on with eBay, and they had a really unique way of kind of summarizing promoted the challenges and expectations of promoted listings. And they said, think of it like the newspaper days. What if an advertiser pays for a print ad placement, but you get your paper in the morning and there are big blank spaces where some of the ads are supposed to be, and your neighbor's paper is like that too, but the blanks are in different places? That would never fly. It's not entirely parallel. Now, if I'm understanding that, it is just like, we have expectations that we are, when we're promoting our items, that they're being put in certain places, but that they might not actually be put in places where we think they're being put in, or they might be being put in front of people who would never, ever even look at your items. I thought that was a good analogy. Let me know what you guys think of that. All right, guys, I was on the phone and I had to go to the store, so forgive me if I'm not smoothly picking this up where I left off. I don't even really remember what I was saying when I ended. But let's move on. I've got more things I want to get to, and I can't even read all the notes that I wrote down, which really sucks when you write something down and you want to share it. But anyhow, I have finally fallen prey to the throttling, where I had a massive Sunday that bled into Monday. So on both stores, it was just weird how it worked that way. And then this week was just slow sales. So I can now say that I've officially fallen prey to that. Because before, I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but it was very evident when you look at the sales graph, you see it, and then just like, all my items were desirable on Saturday and Sunday and Monday, and then apparently this week my items weren't desirable. Let's see here. So I'm going to share with you an email that I received. I'm going to read it as it is, and it's an email. It's kind of like a public service announcement kind of thing. That's something that this particular seller has observed. and they wanted to get that information out there. So I don't know anything about this, but I want, I do kind of let people know that if there's things that if you don't have a YouTube channel and you observe things and you notice things and you want to share that with the class, I am that soundboard person if you want. I kind of pride myself in that and trying to create a community here. So so they shared with me. I'm not gonna say the username, but in doing so, for some reason, I like to look at other people's stores and or their feedback. And this particular person is selling 2 8-pound dumbbells for $17 free shipping. I don't know how they're making any money on that. 16 pounds has got to be pretty expensive to ship, and that's not including the box, and it says ships in 2 boxes. That doesn't make any sense. How is that guy making any money off of that? Anyhow, I digress, and I have gone off tangent, but this is a message from I'm not going to say their name because I don't know. Well, it's Veronica, because she does want me to share it with the viewers. So, I mean, that doesn't tell you anything, but she wants to give you, the viewers, and myself a heads up on a very sophisticated scam that she has experienced as a buyer on eBay. They purchased a towel holder from a seller who has 100% feedback. She used Apple Pay. They send a message to the email address that Apple Pay is connected to, which is my personal email account. I checked the charge on my Apple Pay account. The transaction is dated 6/5/23. On that date, I did make a purchase, but it was for a totally different item and obviously from a different seller. I disputed the charge with Apple Pay. eBay sent me an email saying they are refunding for the item the honest seller sent, not the current purchase, which was nowhere to be found in my eBay purchase history. They are manipulating the eBay buyer information and charging invoice numbers to reflect old purchases. Then they charge the buyer with the old invoice number that is not linked to the seller account. I'm going to read that again. Then they charge the buyers with an old invoice number that is not linked to the seller account. Shortly after, I received an email that linked to the eBay website. It was not because it asked the buyer for an eBay account password. I didn't give them the password, then logged into my account, and the purchase I made was nowhere to be found. I do have the email with the seller's name. The screenshots on the transaction of my Apple Pay card. I received 4 emails so far. eBay really needs to take care of this very serious matter. They now have my address and my personal email, to which they are sending their fake eBay emails trying to fish for information. So they are taking away money from an honest seller, since it is a legitimate invoice and the seller's account is still up and running. I did send them an email telling them that was not the seller I purchased from, nor the item, but I'm not sure how they are going to take care of this situation. This is a huge issue for me as a seller, because it can be any of my items that gets disputed, and without me having the knowledge of what is going on in the background, they can literally take money away from me, and this is fraudulent behavior, and this fraudulent behavior continues. They are punishing honest sellers for the fraudulent behavior of this fraudster. Just thought I would give my fellow resellers a head up. I have never seen anything like this. Now, she emailed me this 7 days ago. I've kind of been forgetting to put this in the videos. And then she messaged me, and it worked out because she messaged me a day later. A day ago. And she said, I just spoke to eBay about this. So what happened is that I made the purchase as a guest. I think this is where they are getting around the item not showing up in my purchase history. eBay confirmed the order number is legitimate. They see the email the seller sent me. The eBay representatives tried to argue that there is no way they are able to get access to my personal information, meaning name and address. So I told her, you just confirmed that these emails were sent and you see them in the eBay system. The fact that you see them and I see them and they have a view order details button that takes you directly to another page to get you to input the password. They have the buyer's information. Your system is hacked. She immediately said she's going to forward the information to the investigation department. This is a problem. eBay has no idea what is going on. I wonder if they have anything to do with them firing the staff that was actually looking out for these kinds of issues. Anyhow, just thought I'd let you know what's happening. And then she took a screenshot showing of her email, her eBay Inside email, showing that the order was delivered, order update, and then that particular buyer, they had their email back and forth with the legitimate buyer. So I don't know anything about that. I don't know if anybody else has had any experiences with that. Just kind of giving you guys a heads up, something to kind of keep an eye out for. If you are a buyer and or a seller, I guess, it affects both parties. So there's that. The one encouraging part of this week was I had a lot of local sales this week, a lot. And there were a number of times where I had things listed on eBay. Again, there's a theme. And I have like another video that I'll show at the end of something that I had sold. But I sold a book, and I don't remember if I took a video about this or not. I'll just talk about it. And if I did, then I won't put the video in. I had a book it was a pretty good sized book. It was, and it looks like a really interesting book to read. It was called 2666. I believe it was like an Italian book that was translated into English. I had this listed on eBay for a while, and I have a feeling I'm going to kind of do more of these kinds of strategies. It was like a $15 book, and I kept getting an offer for like $5 or $6 on this thing. And I kept declining it. I was just not interested. And then I think it happened like 3 times. And at that point I was like, you know what? The guy's willing to pay $5 plus, shipping and, or $6 or whatever. And I feel like that was too low to begin with, but I'm like, I'm going to just throw it up for 15 local. And I'm going to try to make that profit from the shipping that somebody, because you have to determine what is the value of something. And so, if the value would have been like maybe 8 plus, or 9 plus 6 shipping, because it was a thick book, and media mail is not as cheap as it used to be. So I'm thinking it's worth about 15 to 20, 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks to sell local. I was actually shocked. I've had this listed for probably a year and a half on eBay, and there's nothing special about this book, other than it looks like a cool read. But, anytime I have something that is heavy and I feel like it's going to find a market in the local area, if I'm not getting any hits on eBay, like I'm just going to, I told you guys, I'm really going to ramp up my local sales over hopefully the next 8 to 12 months. I am going to do an inventory, but the inventory aspect it's not like I'm in any rush to do that now. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 6 to 8 months if eBay continues on the path that it's going. So yeah. All right, I'm going to leave you with a small story from Facebook Marketplace and what happened with this book. So my daughter, and this is so many of you know, over in August, my daughter and her partner, they moved from a house into an condo, and so it was a bit of a transition for them, but they're loving it. They were not really that happy with the house that they were in. It was older, and so she found one of these a couple months ago in the recycling bin. It was perfect. It was brand spanking new. And I listed it and sold it for like $50. And she found another one, same exact one. And it comes with this little field guide. And so, yeah, she, and it's just got one little ding right there. But I mean, it's funny. Like I'm so proud of her, like for just finding these things in the recycling, and it turns out that she was like looking for certain things for gardening that people just constantly throw out there, and she came across this. So I listed this, right? It's called the Field Study Handbook, and it comes with this little kind of like addendum or appendix or whatever. It's called sustainable data. So I listed it on eBay last night, and I listed it on Marketplace last night. So, I said what it is, the Field Study Handbook by Jan Chipchase, and with sustainable data. It gets flagged. This listing may go against Marketplace's terms of service or agreement or whatever it is, and I'm just thinking, what? So I look at it, and it was like, it had to do, so they said that it had to do with like data. How did it phrase it? Let me see if I have it. I don't know if that thing will still be here. No, it's there, but when I try to expand on it, but it had to do with like you can't sell digital information is what it is. So because this has sustainable data, they thought I was selling like some kind of like downloadable thing. So I messaged them, I appealed it. I'm like, look, these are 2 physical books, but it's like bots, algorithms, whatever it is. They just take things for face value, and then they just take things down. Like, this is the age that we're in, and it's sad. It's sad that we have to deal with things like this. Anyhow, guys. Sorry I was all over the place. I've been kind of just like felt inspired to make a video tonight. It's Friday night. I'm actually done at a decent time, so I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the evening. And I'll set this for a premiere tomorrow. And I haven't checked any garage sales if I'm going anywhere, but if I don't find any garage sales, I will be on the premiere. If I'm not on the premiere, I will be at garage sales. Take care, everybody. Peace and blessings, and have a good evening. Bye. All right, I'm going to attempt to catch this on video. I'm changing a SKU number, putting it in Z, revise. Basically, this is added to somebody's watch list, so before I send an offer, I wanted to make sure that I actually knew where it was, and I'm double checking it. I added a location. See, look, it's not there. Because I'm assuming he's not going to accept it, but I mean, I added it, and normally it's supposed to show right there. Like, I added it. eBay, get your SKU number, stuff, location. Let's try it again. Revise listing. This should never happen. See, I'm entering it in Z. Revise. Added the SKU. That's all I did. View. And it took that time. So it took 2 times. 2 times to do it. 1 time too many. Hi, this is the Rescue Rangers Chippendale Nintendo game that I showed you guys the other day. I have it listed on Craigslist, eBay, Marketplace, and Etsy. And I had it listed for $25 on eBay. Might have even been in a sale, so maybe it was less than that. And then I had it listed on local for $30. And somebody messaged me today about it. I offered $20. And I stood pat at my $30 Canadian price, which is more than I would have gotten after eBay and fees and everything. So I feel good about this. So I took it down from eBay. So eBay doesn't get the sale. And let me know, I had this listed on Etsy. I had no interest on Etsy at all. I didn't even have a view. Does anybody that sells on eBay have any luck with video games? I'm not really having any luck. The only reason I put it up there is because there's only certain things that I want to put up on there if they're a certain dollar value and they're vintage. But I didn't have any interest in eBay as well. Nobody sent any offers or added to the watch list. It's as if it just went, I listed it and it just went into the void. So anyhow, feels good to stamp out at your asking price and get that. So the guy's going to be here any minute.